There is a strange and sometimes dangerous alchemy that occurs when an actor truly embodies a role. They lend their voice, their body, their emotions to a fictional character or to the ghost of a person who once lived. For a time, they cease to be themselves. They walk, talk, and feel like someone else. It is the art of transformation, the magic of cinema. But what happens when that transformation goes too far? What happens when the line between the performance and the self begins to blur and the darkness of a role seeps into the soul of the actor? In the spring of 2009, a gifted British actress was in Paris, pouring her heart into what she called the role of a lifetime. She was playing Jane Birkin, the iconic English muse to the legendary and tormented French musical genius Serge Gainsbourg. It was a role that required her to explore the dizzying heights of passionate love and the crushing depths of melancholy. She was, by all accounts, phenomenal. She wasn't just playing Jane Birkin, she was becoming her. But just as the film was wrapping 2 days before her 29th birthday, in the Parisian apartment she shared with her boyfriend, the magic turned to tragedy. The performance ended, but the darkness remained. This is the haunting story of Lucy Gordon, the brilliant actress who for a moment touched Hollywood stardom in a blockbuster like Spider-Man 3, but who found her destiny in a French film about love, art, and sorrow. It's a story about a life that began to tragically, terrifyingly imitate the art she was creating, leading to a final act that no one saw coming. To understand the trajectory of Lucy Gordon's life, you have to start not in the glitz of Hollywood or the bohemian streets of Paris, but in the historic intellectual city of Oxford, England. Born in 1980, Lucy grew up in a supportive, educated family. Her father, Richard, was a teacher, and from a young age, Lucy demonstrated a sharp intellect and a natural flair for performance. She attended the prestigious Oxford High School, excelling in her studies. Crucially, she was bilingual, speaking fluent French, a skill that would later define her career path and, ultimately, her fate. The late 1990s was an era of the it girl, when the worlds of high fashion and cinema were more intertwined than ever. It was the age of the supermodel, but also the rise of the model actress. At 15, while still a student, Lucy was discovered. A modeling scout spotted her on a school trip, and her life changed overnight. She was signed to the Select Model Agency and soon became the face of CoverGirl, one of the most recognizable beauty brands in the world. She had a look that was both classic and modern. With her striking features, intelligent eyes, and an air of sophistication that belied her years, she was more than just a pretty face. She was captivating. But for Lucy, modeling was never the end goal. It was a stepping stone. Her heart was set on acting. She harbored a deep love for the craft, particularly for the nuanced, character-driven world of European cinema. She once remarked, "I think that in modeling, you're a product, and you're not really in control. In acting, you're in control of what you're doing." She moved to New York to study acting, determined to make the difficult transition from the runway to the screen. Her debut came in 2001 in the indie film Perfume, a behind-the-scenes look at the fashion industry she knew so well. It was a fitting start. Small roles in other films followed, including the historical drama The Four Feathers alongside Heath Ledger. She was building a resume, learning her craft, but she was still searching for the kind of roles that truly challenged her. Her breakthrough didn't come in Hollywood, but in France, the country whose language and culture she had embraced. In 2002, she was cast in Cédric Clapiche's film L'Auberge Espagnole, or The Spanish Apartment. The film, about a group of European exchange students living together in Barcelona, was a massive critical and commercial success across Europe. It became a cultural touchstone for a generation of young Europeans, celebrating the continent's shared identity. Lucy's role as Isabel, a sharp-witted English cellist, showcased her natural charm and her flawless French. She was no longer just a model who could act. She was a legitimate actress, celebrated for her talent in a highly respected film. She reprised the role in the 2005 sequel, Les Poupées Russes, or Russian Dolls, which further cemented her status as a rising star in European cinema. She had found her niche, thriving in the intelligent, character-focused films that the French film industry excelled at. She worked with acclaimed directors, earned praise for her nuanced performances, and was building a career on her own terms, far from the Hollywood machine. But Hollywood inevitably came calling. In 2007, she landed her most high-profile role to date, the television reporter Jennifer Dugan in Sam Raimi's blockbuster Spider-Man 3. It was a supporting role, but it was in one of the biggest movie franchises on the planet. For the first time, audiences across America and the world were seeing her face. On paper, it was the kind of break that many actors dream of, a launch pad to international stardom. She handled the role with the same professionalism and grace she brought to all her work, but the experience of being in a massive, special effects-driven blockbuster was a world away from the intimate sets of her French films. While it brought her global recognition, it didn't seem to ignite the same artistic passion. She was a piece in a very large puzzle, a talented actress in a film dominated by CGI and spectacle. Her friends and family noted that while grateful for the opportunity, her artistic heart remained in Europe, where she felt she could do her most meaningful work. Her career was a fascinating duality. She was the recognizable face from a Hollywood superhero movie, but she was also the respected darling of French independent cinema. She had proven she could do both. She had the world at her feet with a future that seemed limitless. It was at this point, with her star ascendant, that she was offered the role that she would describe as the most important of her life, the one that would showcase her immense talent, and the one that would tragically become her last. To understand the weight of Lucy Gordon's final role, you have to understand the titanic figures she was about to portray. The film was Gainsbourg, Vie Héroïque, or Gainsbourg, A Heroic Life, a biographical drama about the life of Serge Gainsbourg. In France, Gainsbourg is not just a musician, he is a cultural monument. He was a singer, songwriter, poet, actor, and director, a provocative, chain-smoking, alcoholic genius who spent his life gleefully challenging the boundaries of art and decency. His music was a blend of jazz, pop, rock, and reggae. His lyrics filled with witty wordplay, biting social commentary, and profound melancholy. In the late 1960s, Gainsbourg met a young English actress and singer named Jane Birkin. She became his muse, his partner, and the great love of his life. Their relationship was the stuff of legend, a tempestuous, passionate, and incredibly public love affair that captivated France for over a decade. Together, they recorded the infamous, breathy, and globally banned song Je t'aime moi non plus, a track so explicit it was condemned by the Vatican. Birkin was more than just Gainsbourg's lover. She was his artistic partner and his anchor. She was the English rose who softened his cynical edges, the beauty to his self-proclaimed beast. Their story was one of intense love, creative collaboration, but also deep pain, fueled by Gainsbourg's alcoholism and inner demons. The film was being directed by Joanne Sfar, a celebrated French comic book artist, making his directorial debut. Sfar envisioned a surreal, fantastical take on Gainsbourg's life, not a standard biopic. It was one of the most anticipated films in France, and the casting was critical. For the role of Jane Birkin, Sfar needed an actress who could not only capture her iconic look and gaming charm, but also her intelligence, her vulnerability, and her perfect English-accented French. He needed Lucy Gordon. When Lucy won the role, she was ecstatic. This was the part she'd been waiting for, a complex, emotionally demanding character at the heart of a prestigious film. She threw herself into the preparation with a ferocious dedication. This wasn't just another job, it was a total immersion. She studied hours of footage of Birkin, perfecting her mannerisms, her posture, her soft-spoken delivery. She met with Birkin herself, who gave Lucy her blessing, and was struck by the uncanny resemblance. Joanne Sfar, the director, later spoke in awe of her commitment. He said, "She gave everything. She was a real artist, not a model. She had the intelligence of the role." On set, the transformation was mesmerizing. She didn't just look like Jane Birkin. She channeled her spirit. Sfar noted that she had a perfectionist's obsession with getting it right, often pushing for more takes, striving to capture every nuance of the character's joy and pain. But the world of Serge Gainsbourg is a world steeped in sadness. His art is obsessed with themes of lost love, mortality, and a deep romantic melancholy. To play Jane Birkin, Lucy had to dive headfirst into the emotional turbulence of their relationship. She had to portray the giddy highs of their love, but also the heartbreaking lows of Gainsbourg's self-destruction. She was living inside a beautiful but deeply sorrowful love story for months on end. Her friends and colleagues saw the toll it was taking. She was inhabiting a character defined by her relationship with a brilliant but troubled man, a woman who often had to absorb his pain. There is a psychological phenomenon that can affect actors called empathetic distress, where the actor's brain has difficulty distinguishing between the character's emotions and their own. For an actress as dedicated and sensitive as Lucy, the line between her own identity and that of Jane Birkin may have begun to fade. She was delivering the performance of her career. The cast and crew knew they were witnessing something special, but as filming neared its end in the spring of 2009, a private darkness that Lucy had long battled was beginning to overwhelm her. On May 20th, 2009, just 2 days before what would have been her 29th birthday, tragedy struck. In the beautiful Parisian apartment she shared with her boyfriend, the cinematographer Jérôme Almaris, Lucy Gordon took her own life. Almaris discovered her body. He had been sleeping and woke to find the devastating scene. The police were called, and the news sent a shock wave of grief and disbelief through her family, her friends, and the French film community. There was no question about the cause of death. She had left behind 2 long, articulate suicide notes, one detailing her last wishes for her estate, the other a more personal letter for her family. The existence of these detailed notes suggested that this was not a sudden, impulsive act, but a decision born from a long and painful struggle. Her father, Richard Gordon, speaking through his unimaginable grief, confirmed this. He revealed that Lucy had battled depression for many years. She was a lovely, gentle, and generous person, he told the press, his voice breaking. She loved and was loved by many people. She was a light on this earth, and she has now gone out. We are all the poorer for it. He spoke of her recent move to Paris with Jérôme, a man she deeply loved, and how they had all hoped she had found happiness. He also mentioned the recent suicide of a friend in Britain had affected her deeply, a blow that may have compounded her own despair. The news was particularly devastating for the cast and crew of Gainsbourg, a heroic life. Director Joanne Sfar was heartbroken. He had just spent months witnessing her brilliance and her vulnerability up close. He released a statement saying, "The film owes a great deal to her generosity, her gentleness, and her immense talent." The production was thrown into a state of shock and mourning. They had lost not just their leading lady, but a cherished colleague and friend. The tragedy was layered with haunting, almost unbearable irony. An actress had died by suicide while in the process of making a film about a musical icon whose art was saturated with themes of death and despair. She died in Paris, the city that had embraced her and made her a star. And she was discovered by the man she loved, a cruel echo of the romantic tragedies she so often portrayed on screen. The line between art and life had not just blurred, it had collapsed entirely. In the aftermath of such a profound tragedy, questions inevitably arise. Why did this happen? Could anything have been done? For Lucy Gordon, this led to a difficult and sensitive debate, one that has no easy answers. Did the intense, emotionally draining role of Jane Birkin contribute to her death? This is the central, haunting question of Lucy Gordon's story. It is not a controversy in the sense of a public scandal, but a deep psychological quandary. On one side of the debate is the undeniable fact that Lucy suffered from clinical depression, a serious illness that she had battled for years. Her father's statements confirm this. From this perspective, her suicide, while utterly tragic, was the result of her pre-existing mental health condition reaching a crisis point. The timing during the production of her final film could be seen as a tragic coincidence rather than a direct cause. The detailed suicide notes point to a long-standing struggle, not a sudden snap. However, the other side of the argument cannot be ignored. The role of Jane Birkin was not just any role. It required a deep dive into an emotionally volatile world. Lucy had to channel the joy, love, pain, and sorrow of a woman caught in the orbit of a self-destructive genius. Actors, especially those who employ immersive or method techniques, often speak of the difficulty of shaking off a character after a project ends. For someone already in a fragile mental state, living inside a character's trauma for an extended period could act as a powerful trigger. The world of Serge Gainsbourg is artistically brilliant but emotionally perilous. It is a world of romantic fatalism. To inhabit that world so completely, to feel the echoes of that famous and often painful love affair, could have exacerbated her own feelings of despair. Director Joanne Sfar himself alluded to her intense identification with the role. She wasn't just acting, she was feeling it deeply. It's crucial to state that no one blames the film or its director. That would be a gross oversimplification of a complex mental health tragedy. Rather, the debate centers on the potential dangers of the craft itself, especially for artists who are already vulnerable. It raises profound questions about the psychological cost of great art. Was Lucy's performance so powerful precisely because she was drawing from a place of genuine pain? And did that very process of artistic creation leave her with nothing left to fight her own demons? There is no definitive answer. We can never know for certain what was happening in her mind in her final days. The most likely truth is that her death was the result of a tragic confluence of factors, a chronic underlying illness combined with the immense psychological stress of a uniquely demanding role, and perhaps other personal griefs we can only guess at. Her story becomes a heartbreaking case study in the complex interplay between art, identity, and mental health. In January 2010, 8 months after Lucy Gordon's death, Gainsbourg, A Heroic Life was released in France. The film was met with widespread critical acclaim. It was praised for its originality, its style, and its powerful performances. And at the heart of the praise was Lucy Gordon. Critics were unanimous in their admiration for her portrayal of Jane Birkin. They called her performance luminous, pitch perfect, and heartbreakingly authentic. She had captured the very essence of Birkin's spirit. She posthumously received a nomination for the César Award, the French equivalent of the Oscar, for Most Promising Actress. But watching the film was an unsettling and deeply poignant experience. Audiences could not separate the luminous performance on screen from the tragic reality of the actress's fate. Every smile, every tear, every shared glance with the actor playing Gainsbourg was imbued with a layer of profound sadness. The film had become an unintentional eulogy, a beautiful and haunting memorial to its lost star. Her greatest artistic achievement was one she would never see. The story of Lucy Gordon serves as a significant and sobering cautionary tale, particularly for the entertainment industry. It casts a harsh light on the immense pressures placed upon actors, the demand for emotional vulnerability, the blurring of identity, and the often inadequate mental health support systems available to them. Her death, along with the deaths of other talented artists, has contributed to a growing conversation about the importance of protecting the psychological well-being of performers. It is a reminder that behind the glamour and the accolades are human beings who are often fighting unseen battles. In the end, Lucy Gordon was so much more than her final act. She was a woman of intelligence, talent, and grace, an Oxford girl who charmed Paris, a model who proved she was a serious artist, an actress who was just beginning to show the world the true depths of her ability. She was, as her father said, a light. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility of the human spirit and the unseen struggles that can hide behind even the most beautiful and successful facade. It speaks to the dangerous power of art, its ability to transport us, to heal us, but also in the wrong circumstances to consume us. Lucy Gordon gave her all to her final performance, and the world of cinema is richer for it. But the cost was immeasurable. Her life, though tragically short, was a testament to a deep and abiding passion for her craft, and her memory serves as a poignant plea for greater compassion, understanding, and care in a world that too often forgets the human being behind the character. And that's all for today's video. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and subscribe so you won't miss out on future uploads. See you next time.